I'm Billy S, welcome back to the channel. Today we're continuing my Elden Ring series, ranking every boss in the game via their region. For this episode, we're detouring into the Consecrated Snowfield, with a brief stop at the Halig Tree, as it's this area's legacy dungeon. Interested in the other regions? Check the description for links to the other videos. The only rule is that the bosses must have an official boss health bar, so let's jump right in. All 10 Elden Ring Consecrated Snowfield bosses, ranked. Let me know your favourites down below. At number 10, we have the putrid avatar found at the Snowfield Minor Erdtree. I've already gone on record in a recent video explaining that of all the avatar fights, it's my least favourite. By the time I reached the Consecrated Snowfield, expecting unique encounters due to the hidden nature of this region, I was kinda disappointed to find out that every boss fight was reused outside of Malenia, and the putrid avatar of the Minor Erdtree was just the easiest target because it doesn't bring anything new to its fight. At least the pair in Elfheil are placed in interesting locations that force you to be cognizant of your environment. Here, you ride up a hill, fight an avatar with the usual moveset, nothing special about it. Especially coming from the Erdtree avatar fight in the mountaintops that had the Dark Lurker clone gimmick. He drops the Ruptured Crystal tier, which is a meme that causes you to explode when drunk, as well as the Thorny Cracked tier, which makes consecutive attacks stronger for 3 minutes. The latter is actually useful for my build as a Twin Blade user, but even then, I feel like you've got so many other options to get the same effect at this point in the game, with like talismans or something. I don't really want to change up my Physic Flask this late, I'm stubborn, mama. At number 9, we have Great Worm Theodorix, found in the Frozen River Cavern of the Consecrated Snowfield. The hardest version of the Magma Worm fight from a statistical standpoint, this is another case where I entered the fight with high expectations and found them severely disappointed by the end. Theodorix is just a magma worm with a ton of HP, 25,649, and yet despite having more health than the literal Elden Beast, there's something about him that feels insanely unthreatening, which is impressive given each of his attacks does insanely high damage to showcase his late game status. You can lure the land squirts near the entrance of the cavern towards the worm for an easy kill, or you can ride on Torrent to steer clear of his charges. Then it's the same strategy as every other magma worm. Stay near their legs, do as much damage as possible, escape before the magma builds up, and rinse repeat for phase 2 when they pick up their sword. Theodorix does unlock Theodorix's Magma incantation for defeating him, which can be purchased at the Dragon Communion Cathedral, but it's incredibly outclassed by a whole host of other spells in the game, which leaves me feeling very unsatisfied as the player. The only plus, he makes the players jump upon their first encounter, but that's about it. At number 8, we have the Putrid Grave Warden Duelist found in the Consecrated Snowfield Catacombs. Technically, this is not a repeated boss, as we don't face any other Putrid Grave Warden Duelists as boss fights anywhere else in the game. That being said, his introduction is somewhat hampered by the fact that there are 4 Rotten Duelists throughout the Consecrated Snowfield with the same moveset, and you need to kill them if you want to get their armor set, which means fighting this guy is a little repetitive. His 2 boss-exclusive attacks are a Snake Grab, which inflicts Scarlet Rot if you're caught, as well as a straight-line Scarlet Rot Spew. Both attacks can be dodged relatively easily, and with that, you're only facing off against a fairly fun duelist. It's one of the boss types I admittedly don't get tired of, which is nice. They have cool weapons, fun designs, feel dynamic, and are spaced out across the game. I just think for the Consecrated Snowfield, this boss could have been tougher. Make its model a little larger, more imposing, give it a more unique moveset, and I think we could have had something special, like the champion of all Grave Warden Duelists, or something to that effect. It drops the Rotten Gravekeeper Cloak upon its defeat, which has a passive effect that increases enemy aggro on the player. More importantly though, this boss drops 2 Great Grave Glovewort. There are only 6 found in the entire game, and they're used to upgrade Spirit Ashes to their +10 variant, making them exceptionally valuable. Compared to the bottom 2, the Putrid Grave Warden Duelist is a fucking saint. At number 7, we have the Misbegotten Crusader found in the Cave of the Forlorn. The upgraded form of the Leonine Misbegotten, this boss isn't really notable for the fight itself, but the weapon it wields. For defeating this boss drops the Golden Order Greatsword, one of the 9 legendary armaments. It's actually a theme that these Misbegotten come into contact with these legendary blades, as the Ruins Greatsword is obtained via the Redmane Castle gank, and the Grafted Blade is obtained via the Castle Morn Misbegotten, and they are also legendary armaments. The Crusader himself isn't a particularly engaging battle though. He's got the same aggressive nature as the rest of the Leonines, but has a single unique attack, Establish Order, the weapon skill of the Golden Order Greatsword. Activating an explosion of holy light, this boss swings its sword twice before launching a golden projectile wave at the player. Now this caught me off guard on my first playthrough because the muscle memory had me dodging on his first swing, so I'd get caught by the second. Combine that with my penchant for panic rolling, plus rolling backwards, and you can tell from the footage that I played this fight very badly. Still came out on top, but for one of the legendary armaments, the fact that it's being guarded by a boss type we fought at the Weeping Peninsula just ruins some of the cool factor, and why it lands in the bottom half of today's list. At number 6, we have the Stray Mimic Tear found on the hidden path to the Halig Tree. Now, the wiki considers this a part of the mountaintops, but given it's a dungeon only accessible after using the Halig Tree Medallion, I think it's fair to consider it part of the Snowfield zone. It functions the same as the Mimic Tear of Nokron, but is a tougher fight when played straight, as the Tarnished's higher HP pool means that the Mimic Tear will also be packing a little bit more heat. Case in point, while the original Mimic Tear fight I was playing with my food, so to speak, with the Stray Mimic Tear, it can back up its danger level with higher damage. While I still feel it's an easy fight in the grand scheme of things, I can't deny that this made me sweat in comparison to the original. I'm actually really happy the Mimic Tear got reused. Sure, it's completely random and I have no idea of the lore significance to its placement, but I get to enjoy the battle your own build concept twice per run, a rare moment where I have 2 cakes and they both taste great. This boss guards a death fruit needed to complete Garank's questline, and also drops the Black Flame Monk Amon Ashes, who is a brutal damage dealer, one of the best in the game, at the cost of having absolutely no defense. For some people, myself included, that's actually a very valid strategy, which makes him invaluable to the cause. The Stray Mimic Tear was a surprise, but a welcome one. Ooh, I am a stray video message that appeared after the Stray Mimic Tear segment. I'm funny and I have good segues. We are trying to reach 35,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and 100,000 subscribers overall if we can do it too. If you guys are interested in helping the channel and you really enjoy the rest of this video, consider parrying that subscribe button right there. It's just gonna help us out so much. Or go the extra mile and become a channel member. It is $4.99 a month. It gets you early access to future videos, a shout out in the description, and at the end of videos as well. It's perfect for anyone who wants to see this channel continue to grow and flourish. Back to the Consecrated Snowfield. At number 5, we have the Knights Cavalry duo found guarding a caravan in the center of the Consecrated Snowfield. They are the strongest variant of their boss lineup, and have the same caveat as the dual tree sentinels from Altus. You have to kill the pair of them in one life. Defeating one and dying to the other will result in them both respawning. The best strategy, and the one I found the most effective, is the classic aggro one boss at a time, ensuring that the second Knights Cavalry is away from the fight so I'm not forced into an unbalanced 2v1. Sure, you have Torrent to help here, which can make the fight a fun jousting tournament between the 3 different parties, but I prefer to be on the ground personally. You have to use all the knowledge from your past Knights Cavalry battles here to come out on top. Flail and Glaive, do you understand their movesets? Their weaknesses? They're as strong as the Dragon Barrow unit, so they're tough as heck, but I think they're a perfect conclusion for this boss type. Defeating them gets you the entire Knights Cavalry armor set, as well as an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, one of only 13 per run that can enhance a regular weapon to plus 25. Plus, the caravan they guard has the Flowing Curved Sword, which is one of the coolest curved swords in the game. I do wish I had the courage to face both of these guys at the same time, but I think sticking to what I know will get me a victory in the end has done me just fine. At number 4, we have the Deathrite bird found near the Apostate Derelict. While technically the hardest of the 4 Deathrite birds found in the game from a pure statistical POV, it only took me 4 attempts to bring this beast to its knees. After countless deaths to the same boss in the mountaintops, this guy was nothing. On my first attempt, I was a fool though, and I didn't disable the walking mausoleum nearby, which led to my battlefield getting bombed by its projectile attacks. There was nothing I could do to save myself. But once I had the boss to myself, no outside influences, I had a much easier time. The Deathrite bird has a vast array of Ghost Flame AoE attacks that can eat through your health, and on top of that, it does a massive amount of damage with every hit. The arena itself is thankfully very open, which means I'm not tripping on the terrain or getting backed into corners, though I am aware you can climb the cliff to the west for some good cheese if that's your fancy. This was actually the last field boss in the game I had to kill outside of those found in Legacy dungeons, so I really wanted to take it on fair and square. Not even the attack where it rises into the sky and fires a storm of arrows at the player could stop me from slaying this beast. It drops the explosive Ghost Flame sorcery upon defeat, which is a gigantic AoE that starts with an explosion around the player, which sends out lingering Ghost Flame trails that can catch enemies off guard. And in the 1.07 patch, this spell received a ton of buffs to make it more viable. Plus, the 220,000 runes isn't too shabby either. In fact, I believe of the regular field bosses, this is the highest amount of runes you can receive on New Game. Only the major story fights and demigods rival it. At number 3, we have Estelle, Stars of Darkness, found in Yellow Annex Tunnel. Now, say what you will about the reuse of a boss that was focal towards the progression of Ranni's questline, we all understand the frustration that comes with thinking Natural Born of the Void was the only version of Estelle we'd face. But when you realize Estelle is the name of the species and not the name of the creature, you can justify the appearance of this alternate variant, even if it is just blatant reuse of content. The Stars of Darkness variant is found in this icy cavern, and the different lighting actually makes this Estelle more threatening to me. His attacks are all the same, to nobody's surprise. You've got difficult gravity magic to dodge, mandibles that threaten to snap your health in half, and his Meteorite of Estelle that is far more devastating with endgame scaling. However, Stars of Darkness has one unique move that, at least for me, I remember really fondly compared to the rest of the reused Snowfield bosses. At around 50% health, Estelle will teleport away, and multiple Estelle illusions will appear at the same time from the ceiling to do a grab attack. The first time this happened to me, I absolutely bricked it because that never happened in the original fight, and suddenly Estelle is clone jutsuing so it can snap me in a brutal run-ending grab. The only way to avoid it is to stand in the very center of the arena because none of the illusions can reach you there. It makes the player consider their positioning so they can't always be running after Estelle when he teleports to the edge of the room, and I don't know, the jump scare factor of this move just stayed with me. Estelle was already a good fight, I don't mind an extra move that is a fairly simple counter, I just wish it was more telegraphed to the player that there was a safe spot. Most of us probably didn't know about the center of the room unless it was either an accident or we were told by a guide. Defeating Estelle's Stars of Darkness is worth the trip though, as you finally gain the Meteorite of Estelle's sorcery. This ability allows you to launch meteors forwards at your opponents in the same fashion as the boss, which is incredibly useful on larger foes, and when combined with the Meteorite staff, it acts as a delete button for whatever you desire. Well worth the refight for a brilliant reward. At number 2, we have Loretta, Knight of the Halig Tree, fought at Miquella's Halig Tree. I sung the praises of Loretta in my Liurnia of the Lakes video, and everything that made her fight great there is here as well. She's still a mounted unit who focuses on her magic to create an oppressive atmosphere as she fights. I love that she always sets up her glintstone glint blades around her, forcing the player to react to her melee attacks and the follow-up spells that will launch in tandem. She immediately breaks out some of her stronger moves from Caria Mana, which receive upgrades as the fight progresses. Most notably, we have Loretta's Great Bow, which will now fire 4 arrows instead of 1, that are able to home in on the player's location. While the dodging timing is still the same as the original single arrow great bow, it just means you can't spell parry the attack, as 3 projectiles will still make it through to damage the player. Her other special move is Loretta's Slash, which was the Ash of War you gained by defeating her at Caria Manor. She does 2 spins with her glaive, powered with magic, before jumping into the air and slamming the ground. It fits the quota of a classic Souls Beyblade attack and just looks so damn cool. Easy to avoid, but so damn cool. I really love Loretta, I just wish she was a bit tougher in terms of HP, and that she got a unique battle theme to distinguish her from the rest of the Erdtree Knights that have a similar moveset. Defeating her gets you Loretta's Mastery, a sorcery that allows you to fire 4 great arrows that explode upon impact, as well as her weapon, Loretta's War Sickle. It's cool, has a signature Ash of War, but is ultimately outclassed by other halberds in the game. Loretta deserved better, that's what I think. At number 1, we have Malenia, Blade of Miquella, found at the roots of the Halig Tree. It's another Caelid situation, where Malenia severely outclasses every other boss in her region, and it's not even close. She's one of 2 optional demigods, alongside Mohg, who act as this game's super bosses. And in my humble opinion, Malenia is my hardest boss in all of Soulsborne. 141 attempts was what it took for me to overcome her on this playthrough. In my original run in 2022, I'm sure I had a similar number count as well. She's just a powerful entity. From her lifesteal mechanic that ensures none of the progress you make is ever permanent, forcing you to play aggressive to keep the damage up, while defensive to avoid allowing her the chance to heal, to her waterfowl dance, which is one of the most infamous broken moves in the entire franchise. Yes, it is dodgeable. There will be countless comments explaining how Malenia is actually easy and there are a billion ways to cheese her, but be for fucking real, casual players are gonna struggle against her exponentially so. I'm not talking about the professionals here, and waterfowl dance is the main reason for this. Its dodge timing and movement are so unintuitive that unless you can knock Malenia out of her animation, which is possible with certain throwing items, you'll have to shield tank the damage and pray you're not set back too far. I liken it to tying my shoes. I really struggle with that, and watching somebody else tie their shoes, even as an explanation, it still doesn't click with me. I have the same sensation trying to dodge the first part of Waterfowl Dance. The second and third waves I think are fairly easy to handle by comparison, but this isn't a Waterfowl complaints video because for as much shit as I've given Malenia over the years, I still respect that she is a straight up super boss that is blatantly unfair, but revels in it. There's a challenge to her that I don't think I've felt in any other Souls game from any other boss. Love her phase 2, I actually prefer the Goddess of Rot to the Blade of Miquella because I enjoy dodging the extra AoEs. Her Scarlet Bloom attack gives ample time to heal and damage, and I know how to dodge her Phantom Clone attack, which is so satisfying to pull off. The only danger of her fight is the Scarlet Rot, but honestly it doesn't proc as much as you'd expect, which leads to an incredibly balanced moveset. She rightfully deserves a top spot on today's list, and she's still in my top 10 Elden Ring fights and one of the most memorable battles in the entire series. The fact that one of the DLC fights is supposed to be as hard as her is an exciting prospect. And by the time this video is out, we'll all be playing the DLC, so I can't wait to see what From Software have up their sleeves. And that's my list. Which Consecrated Snowfield boss was your favorite? Let me know down below. And be sure to parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all of my future videos. My social medias are on screen now. Feel free to follow me if you feel comfortable. I recommend my Twitter or my Discord. My Twitter is the best place to go though. A massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing. I'm sure you're wondering where the Elden Ring DLC videos are going to be coming out. I am working on them as we speak. I am going to be releasing a boss ranking probably at the start of July, depending, and I am going to also be posting some reactions to some of the cooler parts of the DLC, so I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you next time. Adios!